Christmas can go fuck itself.
It already has.
Halloween, I know a lot of people like it.
In the toilet.
In the toilet, because goddamn E3, man.
Yeah.
It's that time. It's fucking. We're not.
It's been
LA.
a bummer.
We're not in LA, man. That's a bummer. That's a real bummer.
I don't know. I feel like there's no pot of gold at the end of that rainbow.
Well,
this year.
maybe so. Yeah, Jason, we've got two conferences to talk about today. Welcome everybody to Rage Select. We're talking about the Microsoft press conference. We're talking about the EA press conference. We're going to go down the list in detail, and we're going to jump right into it. We're going to have one of these every day. Tomorrow, Aaron and I are going to talk about Sony and Ubisoft, and on Thursday, John and I are going to talk about Nintendo and a few assorted things, and then at the end of the week, we're going to have a big wrap-up podcast, the weekly podcast, where we'll do some questions as well. So. But let's get right into it. So, Microsoft, this, like we've been talking for a while. Like Microsoft, they need to get out there.
Yeah,
they need to get some games.
Bring your A game.
Games on the fucking street, man. Like,
you didn't do it.
You know, I okay. Before we start, I got the feeling when I was watching this, and you didn't. You got to kind of watch the highlight reel, but when I was watching it live, this is the first time in all of E3 where I was just like, dude. Slow down. Like they just gets like, here's the game, here's the trailer, here's the next game, here's the next I was like, what happened to where you bring out the devs and they awkwardly do the stage show for like 20 minutes?
What happened to talking about TV for half an hour?
Oh shit, man. They didn't talk about TV at all. Well, they mentioned Halo miniseries, we'll get to that, and the only mention of Kinect in the entire thing. It's like once they took the Kinect out of the box, everybody at Microsoft just forgot that the Kinect ever existed. Like they didn't talk about there's a new smart glass update. They didn't talk about like we're going to put some shit in there. They actually came out. I skipped over it. You didn't see it, but they actually came out and they were like, we'd like to thank all of our fans for your feedback and helping us to make this the best. And I was like, did he just come out and thank the gaming community for motherfucking Microsoft for the last year?
Here's Don Matrick in a pillory, so you could throw shit at him for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't know. This was a weird conference because I kind of came out of it underwhelmed, but then I went back and we looked at the highlights. Jason and I did, and there was some pretty good stuff in here. It just they packed a shitload in.
There wasn't a lot that wasn't expected.
Yeah, I guess the thing to take away, and we can kind of go into this after we run down the list, is that there was no like huge surprise killer app thing. Like there were some reveals for things, but those are going to be multi-platform things, or they're going to have like a DLC first day on the Xbox and then it'll timed exclusive, type of thing. We didn't have a Gears. We didn't have a Gears. I'm trying to think of anything else. There was no Gears of War.
There was no Gears.
All right.
It was Gearsless.
Okay, well,
let's... like, what, second, third year in a row?
Yeah. I think there's been scuttlebutt out there that some team is making a new Gears game, but whatever it was, you didn't see it here. So let's start at the very beginning. They started off as kind of with what you would normally expect. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Talking spitting their mad game about how the DLC maps are going to be coming to the Xbox first, but it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we got a trailer, one of the longer gameplay trailers. Yeah. I think it looked really cool. I mean,
it looks cool. It doesn't look like anything new. I mean, it looks like let's take Call of Duty and put some Titanfall elements.
Yeah. It looks like Titanfall and Black Ops 2 had a baby.
Yeah.
And that baby is Advanced Warfare.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, I mean, it's funny. I was talking to you about this before. It's like all of it had me. I like the visuals, I like the aesthetic. I mean, it's a little...
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of stuff. It looks really nice. And then you get to the part of the video where they do L2, R2, L2, R2, shooting at enemies. And it's just like, oh, right. Like, you go onto this street and there's like a swarm of drones, like the Matrix that came down.
I know. I kept expecting the Matrix tentacly octopus robot things.
Yeah. Like, it seems to me that if you were going to have drones in the future,
drone swarm,
clustering them all together so they run into each other and crash and shit would probably not be the best way to do it.
It's intimidating as all hell, though.
Well, maybe, but like that swarming, that's like what birds do, right? Not robots. Like,
maybe these drones have gone feral.
Oh shit! They got a taste for human blood.
Yep.
And caught up in the rotor.
That's what happened.
So at the beginning of the game, or at the beginning of this demo, these guys are on this drop ship, which may have the worst screen in the world because it's like above their heads. Like they all have to look up to see what's.
It's like they're at Vegas on Fremont Street.
Yeah. So some shit goes down. They crash. There was a part there where the dude had to like pull the lever to close the door, and I thought, is that Connect? Is that Connect integration?
Oh.
But
God, don't even.
But so they crash, they get out, they're in the middle of, I believe it was Seoul, right?
Seoul, yeah.
Yeah, and like there's just full on future robot warfare going down the streets, dudes in mech armor.
And again, particle effects and just stuff happening everywhere you look. Explosions and debris and people running and robots flying. It's very
dudes,
busy.
They jumped all the way down. They had like rocket boots, right, to stop their fall. They all have a double jump with their little rocket boots. Mm-hmm. Titanfall. But there were a couple of really cool things. They moved forward, and there was one area where the grenade, that was like the big thing.
Oh, that was neat. Yeah.
Is that the grenade has this LED on it that he could switch between different functions.
Yeah. Which, how many times am I going to die while looking to see what my grenade says?
While reading your grenade?
While reading my grenade.
The
answer is all the time.
Reading stuff really fast, you're like, what is this one?
Incendiary.
Oh, okay.
Just give me symbols.
That's right. Well, that's what I figured was that, like, if this was an actual piece of military equipment, there'd just be like 4 symbols on there, and you just push the button. But there was one where they threw it, and it like lit up the area so you could see guys behind cover.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. So then they were shooting guys behind cover. There was a really cool one at the end where you threw it up in the air and it did a little psh, psh, like little hovered in the air.
Like,
and then,
who do I need to kill?
Yeah, found the nearest enemy and just went whee and and blew up. There was another part where he got behind a piece of, it looked like mobile cover that had a laser on it and started torching dudes with a laser. And then of course at the end they had the requisite, like, just leave me and get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
and everything
see you
goes
on the
quiet
other side.
because you get hurt really bad.
Right.
It's like, okay, they haven't forgotten all of the tropes.
But what I'm wondering is, are they going to put like a robot machine gun on that guy's arm? Because that would make it different.
That was something, because usually you get hit by something in a game and then, your teammate wakes you up. In this one, you wake up and your teammate is pulling debris out of your torso.
Yep.
And then dragging you along, and you're like, this is my arm.
Bro.
My arm is there on the ground.
Could you just take a second and hit my arm?
I need that. But he couldn't point because this is on the ground.
Yeah, it seems like in the future that they're living in that you could probably reattach an arm, right? They've got those robots and shit.
It's like, yeah, fuck it. I wanted a robot one anyway.
That's right. No Kevin Spacey. I thought for certain they would roll that motherfucker out there.
I thought he would actually be there.
You thought he would be playing the game, bring him out like what's his name from
House of Cards?
And just have him sitting there playing the game.
Yeah.
I don't. So I really don't. The trailer didn't tell us anything about multiplayer. It didn't really tell us very much about story outside of like some shit's going down in Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
It just showed us that there's going to be lasers and crazy grenades and robots. Oh,
it looks fun.
Oh, spider tank. There was also spider tank.
There was a spider tank.
Spider tank. That was giant spider tank walking around.
Straight out of Amazing Spider-Man, the video game. Spider Slayer.
Which made me wonder if you've got spider tank. Like, okay, so these guys are running along the street, and spider tank goes over them, and then they run, and then they start engaging guys. But Spider Tank is somehow gone at that point.
Yeah.
Like, if it was an enemy Spider Tank, you figure they would have blown it up. And if it was a friendly Spider Tank, you figure it would have been helping them kill, I guess, Koreans?
Yeah, we'll learn more.
Yeah.
In the months to come.
I wasn't aware that Forza 5 didn't already have the Nuremberg ring in it. Do you know what the Nuremberg ring is?
It's
like the most famous track. It's the one that has all the writing on the ground in Germany, right?
Yes.
It's been in like every Gran Turismo game.
Yes.
I didn't know it was in there, but they came out and they said, "Hey, this is available to download right now." I'm sure that it costs $2 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a little weird. Like, I don't know if I was Microsoft if I would go with Forza, but then they announced Forza Horizon 2. Which I never played the first one, but I heard that it's a lot less like Gran Turismo and a lot more kind of Need for Speed than Forza. So I don't know. You know.
I'm more down with that.
I wish they would have come out on stage and said, like, hey,
we're making the Rage Selects Thomas Forza game.
No, because then we have to sue a bitch, right?
Well,
like
you will sue the motherfuckers.
I at least
into
get
the
to
Stone Age.
I am going to be invited to E3 at least if I am going to be they're taking our story.
And if they take out the part where Guy Fieri shits on the hood of our car,
that's right.
No deal.
No deal. I think when Forza Horizon 2 comes out, we need to continue the story. That'll be
clearly
Thomas Forza 2. Well, no, we can't make that joke anymore.
No,
tell me I can't make the electric.
It's
thing.
done.
Yeah,
it was done about 3 years ago.
It was done when the movie came out. All right. But I mean, and then they had a trailer for it, and it was the same kind of car porn that we're used to. Like, cars look real fucking good in next gen. From there, we actually got something I forgot to when I was telling Jason about this. We got a demo for Assassin's Creed Unity, which looks pretty saucy.
It looks like the tits.
Yeah. Specifically, the big reveal here was 4-player co-op.
I did not see that coming.
Mostly because.
But I'm all about it.
I'm just going to say this right now. I've played co-op stealth games before, and what happens is that you and I are playing our co-op stealth game, and then you're just like, Leroy Jenkins!
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm all about stealth.
What the fuck, man? No, we got to reload this checkpoint, do it all over again. I'm trying to get 100% sneak here, motherfucker. Did you kill that guy?
You are not. I'm not going to let you get 100% anything.
But there were some pretty cool things. I mean, in the beginning, they showed a giant crowd kind of trying to storm into this
giant crowd,
really big. Like, I don't know if I've seen. I mean, Assassin's Creed has had a lot of people, but I don't think I've ever seen that many all bunched up together before. Which seems like it can make for some interesting mechanics, of hiding in the crowd, of how that works. I was saying to Jason, I love the fact we're gonna get to kill us some fucking evil French dudes.
Yeah,
that shit's fun as hell. Outside of that, there seemed like there was a lot more.
They didn't even go 2-player co-op.
No.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
they went for 4.
Yeah,
Bam.
But see, here's the thing, Jason. Assassin's Creed, as far as combat goes, is a joke.
Yeah,
I mean, like, combat in Assassin's Creed is baby town frolics. Like, it's nothing. So why would you need 3 more people? I mean, you can already kill 100 guys on one street corner.
Yeah.
Why would you need more people?
Hopefully,
I mean, I guess just
they fixed it. Hopefully, it'll actually be really hard.
Well, that just that brings up a thing when you think about games that do co-op really well. You need to have a larger sense of danger, so that you need those other people. I also wonder.
The scale does feel bigger.
Yeah, it definitely does. I wonder if there's going to be. If there are going to be bots, if there aren't people in there, if
I was wondering that myself.
If they'll just drop them out, because it seemed like they were all individual characters.
Because we only saw one guy playing,
right? Well, no, they had that thing at the end where they split to the 4 different views when they jumped into the ballroom.
Yeah, but I mean, there was only one guy out there playing, so I was that's what made me ask. Okay, so are you going to have the ability to have the other guys be bots?
Right?
Are you going to be able to play through the whole thing? Surely you'll be able to play through the whole thing with one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are the limitations? There's a lot of questions to be answered in the next 6 months.
Just looks fucking gorgeous.
Yeah,
so gorgeous looking.
Yeah,
France, man, you got that was a great choice. Revolutionary France. It also that trailer had a really good ending on it. It really kind of
what was the ending?
Where they throw him down to the crowd and then the head.
That was badass.
Yeah, that
was something.
There's 2 other things just to mention real briefly. Is I don't think I've actually seen any gameplay from this before. Is one, it seems like they've really stripped down the UI, and I have some questions about that.
That was probably just for the sake of presentation.
I hope so. And then the second was, oh crap, I forgot. Oh well, I'll think of it later. But yeah, that was Assassin's Creed Unity. Oh, I also like the way that they stripped down how assassiny the main character looks. Is that they're a little bit simpler.
He doesn't have all the assassin flair on.
Yeah. Now, the other thing to, I guess, wonder about is if this is going to be integrated into the Assassin's Creed 4 storyline, or whether we're going to bring in a new Desmond character. Because in Assassin's Creed 4, the character that was remembering all this stuff was largely inconsequential. I don't know. It makes me wonder. Next up, we had a really, really good trailer with a really, really shitty haircut for Sunset Overdrive?
Doritos Jacked the video game.
Oh yeah,
that's what that made me think of.
I thought it was a really fun trailer where it started with the military guy behind the box, and they kind of played with the expectations.
That was clever.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. You got me hyped before Insomniac about a really awesome trailer that you had, and you fucked me with that.
I think this will be a flop.
You think so?
I do.
Do you think that when it comes out that it's not going to be any fun, or you think it's just going to be like?
I think it'll be fun, but I don't think it's going to be like OMFG fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because they had the gameplay footage of it. Yeah. It was really fluid. I just wonder how fluid it is. I mean, the person who was playing that sequence obviously had practiced.
Yeah.
Like, they bounce off this thing, grind on this rail, jump up to here, and I wonder if they're going to be able to keep that fluidity even if you aren't familiar with the area. Yeah. I don't know. I at least applaud them for mutants made by an energy drink instead of just going with zombies.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it looks silly and fun, and also I don't think it will make a very big splash.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the only Xbox. Well, I guess there were what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exclusives. So that was one of them. I mean, outside of the indie stuff. I don't know. I thought it looked fun. Then they had a motherfucking trailer for Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha.
That's all kinds of bananas.
DLC, where they're just adding in a bunch of Street Fighter stuff. They're adding in 4-player co-op, and they're adding in a bunch of other nutty shit to Dead Rising 3, which is really upsetting because it was available right after they turned it on, right after they put the trailer out. And I played Dead Rising 3 for Streaming Sunday yesterday. Fuckers.
Well, now you got something to play for streaming this Sunday.
Yeah, I can't play the same game two weeks in a row. Next up, we finally got another look. It's funny, some of these things, when they bring them out, and you're just like, oh, yeah, you guys actually talked about that last year and haven't released anything for it since then, which is Fable Legends, where it looks like a 4-player, third-person action game. There's the 4 different characters have individual classes. I think we knew that from last year. But then they also have a character or a 5th slot for somebody to play the villain, to set up enemy mobs, to set up traps and stuff like that to try to defeat the players.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is a real wild card.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't look at that and tell whether it'll be any good or not.
I like the art style. It's got that kind of cartoony, wow looking
Fable
art style. Although honed and prettied up for this gen.
Now, I don't have that much experience with Fable, but see, to me, I've always felt like the strength of the Fable games was your kind of impact on the world as a player.
Yeah, this seems to be going away from that completely.
Yeah, and then in regular Fable, it's like you can kind of create your own character with your own look and customize it and stuff. And here, I mean, maybe there's customization, but it seems like, if you pick the melee character...
You're going to look like a melee guy.
You're going to look like a melee character. Yeah. So I don't know. This is one that I think could really go in pretty much any direction.
It seems like Molyneux didn't really have a lot to do with this one.
No, I'm pretty sure that at this point Fable has kind of branched out on its own.
Yeah.
Next up, we had another look at Project Spark, which it's been a whole year. There's been a beta that's out. It looks like they're adding some new textures in. They're adding some sci-fi stuff. I'm so slutty for sci-fi that I played Project Spark and was like, whatever. Yeah. And then they're like, ooh, spaceships and lasers. I kind of want to play Project Spark again.
And then they had that quote-unquote big announcement.
With
Conquer coming out and saying Conquer is going to be in the game. Well, I'm like, oh, really? Let me check the fuckometer.
That's right.
It's at 0.
No, it's one of those. He comes out and he says, they haven't made a new Conquer game. I guess we'll have to make it ourselves, which is one of the weirdest, the sentiment behind that is so fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
It should be an insult to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck Conquer. We don't even care. Put him in that other game. You make your own fucking game if you love him so much. Assholes. Quit bugging us about Conquer already. It was a weird thing. I'm going to take your thing with Sunset Overdrive. I think that Project Spark is going to be largely a novelty that comes and goes. Because I mean, I don't know. They had some bullet point text in their presentation that said like full single player campaign. But if it's a single player campaign that I played with John in the beta, that was weird because you would walk up and there would be these points where it would prompt you to be like, what kind of land are we in? And you would get to choose the biome.
Yeah.
And then it would make the game as you were going through it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the
seems like
whole,
a curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the whole make your own game genre.
Right.
So I don't know. But maybe they'll release DLC that puts a whole Conquer game in there and then we'll care about it. Next, we had a trailer for Ori and the Blind Forest, which seemed really cool.
This looked neat, very stylish, very different. And it's funny because Giant Bomb mentioned that it looks like something from Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the same thing when we were watching it.
Yeah. You have a little...
it looks cool.
A little cutesy white creature that falls down, and then this big fat black creature picks it up, and they're friends, and then an owl comes... And then there's like a montage where it seems like the game is going to be a Metroidvania-style platformer with a little white creature. And then a bunch of
very stylized.
Sad. Yeah, I think of the stuff that they announced, it's one of the standouts to me because I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And it looked really creative, and I'm a sucker for Metroidvania games. Then we had about 15 or 20 minutes of Halo.
Yep.
So I was right. I said they needed to push some bullshit Halo thing out this year, and they're pushing out the Master Chief Collection, which has Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, but not
ODST or Reach.
ODST or Reach. And it's so they're like they spent a lot of time talking about Halo 2. I think they're using the Halo 1 HD assets from the CE Anniversary Edition,
right? From what, 2 years ago or whatever.
I think it was 2 years ago, because that was when we played it. And we got stuck, and everybody was losing their goddamn mind. And then Halo 2 is getting a new facelift upgrade.
Yeah. It looks a lot better,
no question. But see, here's what I need to know about this collection. One, the Halo 1 CE Anniversary Edition, that was created for the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
So they're putting all this out on the Xbox One. That game also needs some love and a facelift, even from the special edition that they made. Halo 3 also needs a facelift if they're going to be putting it out.
This seems like maybe I don't want to say cash grab, but just so that they can have a Halo game, a Halo something every year.
Yeah, well, okay, here's what I have to say.
Yeah, cash grab.
Yeah, it kind of. I mean, the thing is that Halo 2 that was an Xbox 360 game, right? Original Xbox? Hold on, I'll look it up because I don't want to get that wrong.
I think that was an original Xbox game.
Okay.
Jeff's going to check.
I'm going to check.
I'm pretty... maybe.
Xbox, yes.
Okay.
So the thing is that both original Halo... because that collector's edition kind of came and went, right?
Yeah.
And Halo 2, those are games that have been kind of like lost to that era.
Sure.
You know? So putting them all back together as a way to get people psyched up for 5. Plus, it really comes down to if they sell... I mean, if you can go to the store this holiday season, and for $60, you can buy Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4 and get into the beta for Halo 5. That's a good deal to have one disc that has all of those games on it that you can just pop in whenever you want to. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Halo, but still, like, that's a lot of game on one disc.
You know who won't be buying that?
You?
This guy.
Okay.
Right here.
You didn't set up the thumbs. I guess it doesn't really work on a podcast that much.
I don't do that anymore. It's like saying Electric Boogaloo after a sequel. It's
all
done.
Right.
It's done.
Here's some crazy things about this particular Halo announcement. They announced that they were bringing the Halo 2 multiplayer back, and it was going to be totally unchanged, and the audience was like, woo! And I was like, are you guys wooing? Because he even said, this 10-year-old multiplayer, we're bringing it back. And so I'm not, like, I don't want to come off here like I'm chiding people who like Halo 2 multiplayer. What I want to make very clear is that if Halo 2 multiplayer is so good, why haven't they been walking the multiplayer closer to that in all of the subsequent iterations of the Halo franchise?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. It's like nostalgia versus actual improvements.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time I thought, okay, just take GoldenEye
Right.
and give it better graphics. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just do that. But then, I played GoldenEye a few more times on the N64, and I thought, no, let's just leave that back there.
Yeah.
It was good for its time. And I think Halo 2 is probably the same way.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, that seems it seems pretty interesting. Some of the bullet points that they had in this and some of the things that they trotted out that people cheered for seemed really weird to me. Like achievements can get a 4,000 point gamer score in this, which I think is 1,000 up from 3,000.
I guess there are people that care about that.
They had probably the most confusing trailer I've ever seen for the multiplayer of Halo 5, or for Halo 5 Guardians, the beta of Halo 5 Guardians, which was a pre-rendered red versus blue, like 30-second thing. And one of the points that they switched to was like 1080p, 60 frames per second. And everybody was like, woo! And I was like, yeah.
Right.
Like,
it's 2014. What the hell?
Yeah, fuck off with your 60 frames. I mean, like, of course, that would be like if in the middle of that Call of Duty thing, they felt the need to come up and be like, it's going to be 60 frames per second, you guys. And you're like, yeah, that's... yes.
Multiplayer.
That's right.
Woo!
They also had a brief thing where they talked about on this Halo anniversary thing. You're going to they're giving you this short film that was created by Ridley Scott, a director that I'd never heard of, or produced by Ridley Scott and directed by some guy I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you get a movie beta and 4 games for $60. That'll be a good deal. I can probably say that's pretty decent. We finally saw the next game from the creators of Limbo.
Oh, this is one of my favorite things that I saw on the Microsoft conference.
What was it called again?
Inside.
Yeah. It was really
not to be confused with the horrifically gory French film.
Oh, yes. You should not confuse those two things, ladies and gentlemen. But no, it looked really cool. I mean, like a lot of character. You're playing a kid again, which is, but it looks very Limbo-y with a lot of
side-scrolling, very stylized, with a lot of chiaroscuro and really intense use of black, white, and gray. Couldn't quite tell what was going on. It looked to have kind of an odd sense of humor to it, maybe kind of a morbid sense of humor, which Limbo did.
Yeah.
So this, along with Ori and the Blind Forest, one of the these are the two that I'm like really looking forward to.
The Summer of Arcade downloadable titles. These are
pretty
the ones
much
that really got your juices flowing.
I mean, these look like they're pushing the boundaries more than anything else we saw.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple scenes in there of the character walking like with a bunch of people kind of walking like zombies and stuff. Seemed like an oppressive kind of 1984 style
but
dystopia.
It was still kind of comical.
Yeah.
So that was an odd balance to try to strike.
Absolutely. After that, we got a CGI trailer of a lady in therapy, and it was Lara Croft.
Yeah,
and they're making Lara. What was it called? Like Rise
of the Tomb Raider.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah. It looked all pre-rendered, right? It was all pre-rendered.
Yeah. It's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure. I mean,
I liked the last one. This should be cool as well.
I could go for more Tomb Raider. It was actually I was really disappointed when they had that whole thing with the Square Enix CEO stepping down because of the quotey fingers low sales of Tomb Raider, and like it didn't make what they expected. I thought they were going to just shelve the franchise again, but I'm glad to see they're making another one because I really enjoyed the last one. Not really a whole hell of a lot to say about it. I don't know why Laura's seeing a therapist. It seems like she likes.
Well, she went through a horribly traumatic event.
Yeah, but
so they're treating it more realistically.
Okay, all right. I mean, all right, whatever. Next up, there was actually a much longer gameplay demo for The Witcher 3, which continues to look like, man, Jason, I keep thinking about The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I think about it a lot. It's coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think The Witcher 3 might when we get to Game of the Year, we've got the third Rocksteady Batman game coming out.
Yeah.
But the more I see of The Witcher 3, the more I'm like, I think The Witcher 3 is going to give Batman a run for its money as far as...
Put it in my tray right now.
Yeah.
I want to play it.
The Witcher 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Great. In the demo, we saw Geralt tracking a griffin, and he actually, you didn't see this first part, he shot the griffin, and it flew off, and then it left a blood trail through the open world that he could see with his Witcher vision. And so in tracking it, then he came across a couple of dudes trying to do some nefarious shit to a lady, or another dude, and then like murder the shit out of them, and then went murder the shit out of a griffin. I like Geralt. He's a murdering ass motherfucker. And it looks
great writing. Looks cool.
Looks fantastic. Then we had a CGI trailer for a game that neither one of us have played. Phantom Dust from the original Xbox.
I am unfamiliar with that.
I didn't have an original Xbox. I mean, I recognized the cover of the dude with the hair, but I've never played that game before. So I could say the trailer looked really generic, with two people oddly dressed throwing balls of colored energy at each other.
Sure.
It didn't tell me anything about the game.
Yeah.
Or hook me even in the least. They also tried to do that quiet music thing, which
is big this year.
Everybody's doing quiet music this year, and I was like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Maybe if it didn't come like, one game after the Tomb Raider quiet music trailer, and then, the Inside quiet music trailer, like, it's just
let's have horrible frenetic things happening in slow motion to a downbeat song.
Yep. Actually, now that I think about it, there's been a lot of downer shit at E3 this year. Speaking of downer shit, next we saw The Division, and it's funny how I'm having the opposite reaction to The Division than I had with Watch Dogs.
Really?
Where the more they show me of The Division, the less I'm interested in The Division.
No kidding.
It's just like, okay, there was a big apocalypse, right? And we got some bad dudes running around. And you are a bunch of kind of half freedom fighter, special forces, underground people with machine guns and a third-person shooter who are taking people out. I need more than that.
I think
I need a narrative of some sort.
I think the real compelling aspects of this game are going to come from the multiplayer, where you're playing in squads trying to control different parts of a map. And I think it's, as I understand it, it's going to be like semi-persistent or something like that.
Okay.
From what I watched during the demonstration last year, which they didn't really show any of this year. They may show it on the floor, this year. But yeah, it's, squads like, okay, well, we control this area of Manhattan now. And, okay, well, this other squad controls this area. And I think it's always constantly, evolving.
So that just makes me want to join the game and not join a squad and just wander around New York randomly killing people to sway battles in one direction or another.
You're going to be the man with no name.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to be Yojimbo.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, I need to see more of it, and I need to know if there is some kind of narrative, what it is, or at the very least, if they're doing exactly what you're saying with the persistent stuff, then the thing they haven't showed that they really need to show me to get me interested in that game is what do you get for territory. Also, most of the multiplayer engagements that they have showed me seem to be between like 4-man squads and 4-man squads. I need to see more than that as well.
They didn't show any of the smart glass or the any of the tablet interaction on this.
I think there was one of the characters in their squad that was piloting like a UAV. But other than that, but they didn't actually show that point of view. It was all from one point of view.
Right. So they were really big on showing that off last. Maybe they've stepped back on it.
Yeah, I guess the thing about The Division is that I have gotten to a point with video games where I feel about apocalypses the way that I used to feel about World War II. It's a cheap, easy way to garner sentiment and to create an apocalyptic game world.
Yeah.
I need more than that to get invested. From there, Platinum... I love Platinum games. They're making there was a seemed like it was mostly CG trailer for a game called Scalebound that was
looks like you've got like you're doing some dragon riding, and it looks like there's going to be some multiplayer interaction where the rest of where your other dragon riding friends can come in and fight in this fantasy world.
Yeah.
But it also had that kind of Sunset Overdrive attitude where it was like snarky young guy with a crazy haircut.
It was weird because snarky young guy comes out and he's dressed like a medieval hero and he's got a sword, but then he's got like Beats by Dre headphones.
Yeah.
And none of the rest of the entire world or anything that we saw had anything to do with those Beats by Dre headphones.
Yeah.
And it's like, where did you get the headphones, sir? Yeah, it was really weird. I need to see more of it. It seemed to have a little bit of a Monster Hunter vibe at first.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just need to know. And I thought I saw one of the monsters. I think one of the monsters had tits, dude.
Oh, really?
I think that the one that the dragon beat up.
Yeah.
I thought I saw some weirdo monster tits. I might have been mistaken.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. I'll give it a shot.
These are the things that I get out of the trailers.
Monster boobs.
There were some monster tits in there. I don't know. I mean, I like Platinum, and I like the games that they make. So I want to see. I really wish that we were at E3.
This was a CGI trailer, so who the hell knows?
I bet they have a fucking booth there that has this shit set up at it. For only goddamn Los Angeles. And last, kind of a weird one to end on. Like every year that Microsoft has a conference, you get all the way to the end, and it's
It is a weird one to end on, but Crackdown 3.
Crackdown. Well, I think it's just being called Crackdown.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's being
They're
called
already
Crackdown
dropping
3.
That seems to be like, well, if once a franchise, movies or games get so far along, they drop it. That's kind of a suspiciously early way to drop the Roman numeral or the numeric name.
Crackdown 2 was on the 360, and that was 4 years
About
ago.
4 years ago.
It was a while. It's been a while.
It was like 5 or 6.
Was it? Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Crackdown 2?
Crackdown 2. Right? Am I just way off on that?
I don't know. I didn't have a 360 when it was out. 2010, so 4 years.
Okay, so 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Almost to the day. But yeah, it's. I think that. I mean, I've heard people talking about a new Crackdown game.
Yeah,
I haven't actually.
It's got a big following.
I've never played one, but this one had like a bad dude in his bad dude tower, and then these dudes set up this like incredibly ridiculous
this Rube Goldberg way to get at his tower.
Yeah, and I mean it was all pre-rendered and it looked real nice, but once again, you know, man, we're far enough into this game, you and I, as far as video games and shit go. I'm just about ready to say that, like, if your trailer is CGI, that's fine and everything, but I'm not going to give you my excitement until I see some goddamn gameplay.
Exactly.
Like, I'm tired of it. Because when you look at this stuff, like Tomb Raider, no gameplay.
Yeah.
Crackdown, no gameplay. Platinum Scalebound, no gameplay.
No gameplay, right.
Inside, no gameplay.
No, Inside had plenty of gameplay.
Well, I guess, that was gameplay. That wasn't all just pre-rendered.
Yeah.
So, I guess there was some here. It's just they didn't, you know what? There's a lot of it is they just didn't have that E3 thing where they got the people up on stage actually playing the game.
Yeah.
A lot of it was trailers.
Yep.
There was even
It's much like the lineup. It is, let's eliminate any risk-taking from everything.
Super safe, which I don't think is what Microsoft needs right now. I mean, they even had their little indie game montage.
Yeah.
And they had fucking threes.
Yeah.
Like, no, seriously.
Threes.
Like, threes? The game that every person in the world can play on their fucking phone, and you're going to make me install this on my Xbox One and log into Live to be able to play it, and like...
Waste of time.
I bet there's Kinect support for threes.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, when you look at the stuff here that we didn't know about that is specific to the Xbox One, what do we have? Forza Horizons 2, Sunset Overdrive, Fable, Project Spark, Ori and the Blind Forest, Halo. Okay, once I start saying it all out loud, it seems like there's stuff there. I guess it's just none of it was
mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing, yeah.
There was nothing that really grabbed you.
Yeah. So that was the Microsoft press conference. And at the time of recording this, I think the Sony press conference is just starting, but we'll come back to that at a later date. But what happened right after that was that EA came out and showed us a whole lot of offices of people who make video games. This was the strangest press conference I have ever seen at E3.
We don't really have anything to show you, so here are the people sitting in dark offices in front of computers.
It's like they forgot that E3 was happening until like a week before E3 happened. So it started with what could only be described as Star Wars pornography.
Yeah.
With okay, that trailer or whatever reveal,
whatever you want to
call it. That was a cheap motherfucking shot filming them going into the Lucas Archive Museum and taking shots of like the original Star Destroyer 2 and the models and stuff that they use in the movies.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? They could have just asked the internet.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have to go in there and get hands-on with the real stuff. That was just propaganda.
No, but
everybody knows what a fucking snowspeeder looks like.
Yeah, so what they do, they put the fucking Star Wars theme behind, they put the fucking Tatooine theme behind it, they go into the Lucas Archives, and Joe, I've been burned out by Star Wars, and even I go, when I see that shit. Right.
Here they are with the actual R2-D2.
You could have a dude saying any kind of horrible shit if you lit it the right way and put that music behind it, and I would just be like,
manipulative.
Yes.
And showed us very little. There was a little bit of Endor and Hoth that they showed, which were gorgeous, but it was very, very little, just like, not even gameplay really, just like tech demo stuff.
Yeah, it was all prefaced with like early alpha prototype footage or whatever.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, man, like if that's where they're starting at their alpha state, like I don't know, that shit, like I think that if they release in 2016, right, and DICE has the time, do you think 2016?
Yeah.
Or maybe 2015 at the earliest? I think 2016
2016
then.
Yeah.
But if DICE spends their time doing Battlefield Hardline and they get all the shit, all the problems worked out, with the new consoles and the new engines and stuff like that, by the time they get to that shit should be badass.
Yep.
Also worth noting, I mean, we could see more of this later on, but we had that I don't know if was it you and I that had that question about what Star Wars are we going to be looking at?
Yeah.
Is it going to be prequel? Is it going to be original?
It looks like original trilogy.
Yep.
Yeah.
We saw a Stormtrooper, we saw some AT-STs, saw the speeders in the forest.
Yep.
All looked like original trilogy. And just that one shot, it's like 10 seconds at the end of the dude getting on the speeder and driving it and the red lights going past him. It was just like,
yeah. That looked pretty amazing.
Unfortunately, that was kind of the only one of the Office with dudes talking trailers that I thought was worth a damn, and it's because they had Star Wars to get me with.
Yeah.
From there, we finally saw some Dragon Age Inquisition, which did we talk about the trailer? They also had it at the Microsoft.
I don't think we did.
Okay, well, there was a trailer for Dragon Age Inquisition at the Microsoft one. I'm sorry, I was reading off of a recap, so if I've left something out, we'll pick it back up at a later date. But yeah, we saw Dragon Age Inquisition. It looks good. They've got...
It looks gorgeous.
Good environments, nice-looking people.
Great art design.
A lot of dragons. They finally showed the game playing, which was something that I was curious about. And it looks like they have a combination of the kind of MMO-style third-person wrangling your group stuff from Dragon Age 2, but then you can also pause the game and issue orders from a top-down perspective a la Dragon Age 1. I don't know how those two systems work together. Like, Dragon Age 1 was tooled very much for Baldur's Gate style difficulty level.
Right.
And Dragon Age 2 was a lot easier because it was more of an MMO.
I'm trying to mash them together. That seems like a recipe for disaster.
And once again, it's just one of those things where I really need to get my hands on it. Like, because it seems that, to me, it seems like if you don't have to play the game from that top-down perspective, why wouldn't you want to be in a third person, just in the shit, type of experience? So they showed that. They showed fighting a dragon, which was very impressive. The fire effects and particles and shit on the dragon looked really nice. It was swooping in and doing damage. Apparently, this is a brand new character. This is not the character from the last game. And then they did a character trailer for some of the different people in the Inquisition, and they all looked cool. I did notice, it seems like they've the guy with the horns, Konari, right? I guess this is like that kind of looked like he was redesigned from Dragon Age 2. which will make the third time that they've redesigned that race of people in this universe.
I mean, they're still recognizable, but they're different.
Yeah. I don't know. This is, like I said, this is their first BioWare Sans Doctors game. It looks good, but once again...
It looks better than Dragon Age 2.
Yeah. Dragon Age 2, I mean, as long as they don't set the entire motherfucking thing in one city, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Be fine. From there... Oh, God. BioWare. Jesus, BioWare. So, BioWare, a bunch of guys that apparently they don't pay their electric bill at BioWare because all the lights are turned off in their studio.
Keep it dark. Yeah.
Dudes in silly-looking shirts with kind of a little smoke behind them in a dark room talking about Mass Effect, saying nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I was like, well, here's what people like about Mass Effect. New worlds, new characters, blah, blah, blah. But while they're doing that, they're showing new rendered stuff of Shepard.
Yeah. Well, no, they showed some of that stuff at the beginning, but then they showed some kind of Mass Effect. I don't think it was specifically N7 or I don't know. Yeah, I guess there was one quote in there where the guy says like, "You've never seen Mass Effect look this good before," and it's like, well, some of us do have PCs where you could turn all the things up, you guys. But I mean, they showed some stuff about planets with day-night cycles and stuff. And it kind of seems like they're going back to more of a Mass Effect 1 exploring a planet style thing. Which, if they can fix the problems that Mass Effect 1 had of empty worlds, that's cool.
Yeah.
They obviously are.
I'm going to run around for about 15 feet and then get back on my ship.
Right. They do have a problem of, is it a prequel? If it's not a prequel,
how do you deal with the events at the end of Mass Effect 3?
Yeah. Well, I think it's fine to spoil Mass Effect 3. It's 3 years old now. I mean, the Mass Effect gates are destroyed. How the fuck do you get around the universe?
Yeah.
You know. Then, fucking BioWare, man. Then they came out and said, we're also working on something else. We can't tell you anything about it.
It's going to be awesome.
Here's one shot of the side of an RV as our world goes from day to night to winter. And it was like, cool.
Yeah.
You know.
You've got something great coming.
Like, this is... I don't mean to sound more internet hyperbolic, but, like, if you don't got shit... Show me 5 more minutes of Dragon Age 3, BioWare.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything to show, don't fucking show anything. We know there's going to be another Mass Effect game, and whatever your other game is, well, how can I even be excited about unnamed BioWare project with no anything? Like, I can't get super hyped over the side of an RV in the desert.
It's like, wow, that's pretty. And that's... Okay, that's all you're going to show me.
Right. Like,
okay, great.
I really wish that they would have taken all that stuff and just fucking gotten rid of it and shown me, like, my vertical slice of Dragon Age 3. Of like, here we are, we're in this town, and we're going to go hunt down a dragon. So the first thing we have to do is go get some swords, and then we're going to go over here, and blah, blah, blah. Like, just show me that for 10 minutes instead of having all this bullshit just talk.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
It was jibba jabba.
Yeah. So, yeah, eat a dick, BioWare. Speaking of eating a dick, The Sims 4 was next up on EA's hit parade.
There were like 4 women in the audience that went bananas.
It was so awesome. This lady came out and says The Sims 4, and just this chorus of women screaming. And
but there were only a handful of them, it sounded like.
Yeah. Well, there was at least 3 or 4, but it was just that was the reaction. I was like, I think they did that. I think those were their people.
They were plants.
They had to be.
Or her friends or something.
Yeah, because you could not have planned a joke better than you say Sims 4 and all the women scream and cheer.
Yeah, but they're adding like emotional states and like personality preferences to the characters you create. Like, this guy really loves sports, and he's going to be acting weird today because he had a strange encounter with his neighbor last night.
Oh, I had this whole story about Chuck and Gladys. It was so fucking... And Obama.
They just kept putting Obama in there.
Yeah, it was weird. There was a part where they were messing with the ear size slider on their Obama that I was like, yeah, you need to stop that. You need to stop that.
White guilt. White guilt.
Stop that, whoever you are. But yeah, then they had this whole story about how Chuck tried to read poetry to his old lady neighbor Gladys, and then she fucking
she started beating his ass,
beat the shit out of him
because she really didn't like the poetry.
Then he had a party, and then Gladys came and harshed his buzz, and so he downloaded a person from online, and they played the piano, and then he laughed so hard that he died.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's like telling people about, I had this dream one time. and you get like halfway through it and you realize, oh, God, I'm an asshole for making them sit through this.
Yeah, well, I looked at it and went, what do you mean that he laughed so hard that he died? Is the whole point of The Sims 4 to make a very stable, mediocre life for yourself? Because if you have too much fun, you might have a heart attack?
Yeah. Like, Grim Reaper shows up at your party.
I mean, Jason, I don't say this, but like, YOLO Sims, like, they're your Sims. If you want to have a reasonable time where you're not...
Watch your blood pressure.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I mean, it looks really nice. Like, it graphically, it looks very, very nice.
Sure.
I'm sure it's going to sell a shit ton of Sims. It's The Sims 4. From there, oh, god damn EA. God damn you. God damn you for having a sports division. They should have their own conference. They should have a sports conference
that
I don't have to fucking cover, because they brought Bruce Lee out in this black and white footage. It's awesome. Have you seen that where he's talking about the water? Oh, it's so good. Bruce Lee is such a badass. Oh, it's UFC.
Yep. We put him in UFC, which if you play Bruce Lee and you are able to lose, then the game is going to be released broken.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, what do you mean Bruce Lee is fighting a guy who kick his fucking head off? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, yeah, it's
like, begin, win, Bruce Lee.
Right, exactly.
Without even throwing a punch.
Exactly.
It's like, why are you even trying?
The other thing, and I don't know if I've ever... This has not come up in my viewings of Bruce Lee movies over the years, but their model for Bruce Lee was wearing very tight pants, and it was like Bruce and his Lee. Like, he had a banana down there or something, and it was kind of weird. NHL 15 is a hockey game.
Yep. Looks great. Looks very pretty.
Yep. That's it.
New Criterion game.
Moving on. Then Criterion. Yeah, I get the impression that Criterion saw the B-roll from BioWare, and they were like, oh, well, if you can go out there with nothing, then so could we.
Here's shots of our office.
Right.
And us making a game where you race.
You know what I found out from the Criterion trailer? They took all the desks out of the Criterion office.
I know they're talking about their work environment.
And everybody at the Criterion office has a mug with their name on it. I don't know if you saw that in the trailer.
That, yeah.
And sometimes they go to the pub and work there.
Yep. And sometimes when they're doing milestone testing on a game, they all gather around and play the game together.
What madness.
I know.
Madness. I'm like, did you? Because this is Criterion, and they're in Edmonton. That's in
Canada,
Scotland, Canada. Okay, fine. I don't know where anything is. I'm like, did they just?
Isn't Edmonton in Canada?
I'm pretty sure that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm an American. It doesn't matter to me because I'm American. I don't know where Iowa is. I know where Iowa is. Did they just discover laptops in Canada? Did they just mine their first laptops out of the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a racing game with ATVs and wingsuits and boats and jet skis and planes and all of these things racing against each other and you switching vehicles in the middle of a race and everything. It looks like a typical bananas Criterion racing game.
It's a video game based on people wear GoPro cameras.
Yeah. It'll probably be a hell of a lot of fun.
I hope so, but I saw, okay, so there was one part in there where the dude jumps out of a helicopter onto an ATV, and then the helicopter crashes and messes up somebody else.
Uh-huh.
If that's the point of the game, if you can do that shit all the time, that sounds really cool. Or if you have a game that's a racing game, but you keep going from the ATV to the helicopter to the boat to the wingsuit to this, if you have like 16 different things across the race, that could be really cool.
Also that.
But they didn't really say very much about it. They also said... I think they also said that they were working on something else, right? Wasn't there a thing at the end when they said that
I don't recall.
We're also doing art assets for like another game that we can't talk about?
I don't remember them saying that.
Okay. I could be totally wrong about that. Then we came back to sports.
Yep. Extreme fantasy courses on PGA Golf 2015 or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's a battleship crashing into the golf course, and so play golf around that.
Yep.
Which, that's been done before.
How do you get people to play golf games who don't already play golf games?
I don't see that happening.
I don't think you do. I think you just go with your audience who plays golf games.
Here's more golf.
Here's more golf.
And here's more football.
That's right. And
Madden.
Yes, Madden. Madden showed off some new mechanics of they've revamped part of the blocking system. They've revamped part of the tackling system. And they're making a new Madden game as a surprise to literally nobody in the entire world.
Yep.
From there, they showed off Dawngate, which I haven't had a chance to try out. But as I said in the chat room, why in the world, Jason, do people keep naming their games with the word Dawn? It's just
There's a G right there.
I know.
Dawngate.
Dawngate.
The coming of Dongacles.
That's right. This is EA's MOBA where you can kind of create your own hero to spec them out for different types of things.
Buzzwords, flexible metagame.
Right.
Fuck you.
They had about 5 minutes that I didn't make Jason watch of the developers going like, I like to play a heavy metal skeleton. I like to play the book person because I like books too. And it was just like, I don't fucking care. Like, show a match, play some games. I'm sorry that I'm such a grouchy person today, but like, how do you go through the first day of E3 and not see a bunch of developers taunt or tell you about real time weapon switching as a feature? Like, what happened to those days? Then Mirror's Edge 2, which the stream went out a little bit during, but I didn't remember seeing much more than we saw last year.
No,
Faith is running around.
Yeah, there was slightly more than last year, but a lot of it again was let's talk to developers sitting at their desks and
here's some real people doing parkour.
There was a lot of that. Yeah,
we had a conversation with them and said, "Hey, do a flip."
We brought them into the studio. It's
cool,
like, great. Don't care. Where's the game?
Yes, exactly. Nothing about story. Nothing about. They talked about the art style, about making sure about the red, white, and black, and how that works on her. And it was just like, wonderful, you guys. You've told me literally nothing, and I still know there's a Mirror's Edge game. Then we went on to FIFA 15, which I didn't even watch really, even though it was on my screen.
It was football/soccer.
Couldn't tell you anything about it. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's more of that.
Yep. Finally, we ended up our first, well, Jason, you and I's first day of E3 with Battlefield Hardline.
Yes.
Which we finally got to see, what was it, about 10, 15 minutes worth of gameplay of Battlefield Hardline?
And, despite the fact that it doesn't look like, it looks like something that's using the Battlefield mechanics, but it's not a Battlefield game.
Yeah.
It's cops versus criminals, and with that insanely destructive scale of like Battlefield 4. Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It looks like, hey, let's take Payday and put some of that Battlefield crack destruction into
well,
it.
what I got, when we talked about it and I made the comparison to Payday, I finally, seeing the video, I understand, is that the main difference between this and Payday is that Payday tends to focus on a single location.
Right.
And this goes all over the goddamn place. This is all about,
like, the chase.
Right. And it looked really exciting.
It looks like mayhem.
Yeah. And in fact, I actually thought about it more, and I thought that I really liked the idea of not having to, like, I actually kind of, the more I thought about it, the more I really liked the idea, and this video kind of bore it out, of having a game that is more about small arms fire than it is about tanks and nuclear strikes.
Right.
Because it means that you actually could probably live a little bit longer.
There are a lot of vehicles, though, still.
Yeah.
Zip lines. That
zip
looks
lines.
cool.
You could shoot a zip line and then climb up it later on.
Yeah. Grappling hooks and stuff like that.
There was
a lot of reminded me of Heat.
Yeah, except that at a certain point, the amount of damage that was being caused by trying to stop these guys was far in excess.
There were some absurdities,
like when they knocked a crane down and it just fucked up the side of a building.
It really does rely on the Battlefield level of devastation.
Well, what did they call that? The like where they alter the level, like where you knock down the building or whatever. I forget what they had a buzzword that they said a million times.
Yeah.
Drive-a-tar, that's what it was. It like that demo looked really fun, and there was actually a really cool thing I pointed out to Jason where it seemed like each individual person was getting, they had like a
cash
money meter on it. Yeah. So they were getting rank ups and stuff like that, but they were also getting money, which makes me wonder.
Made you think of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, if you died, do you have to either buy your way back in, or do you have to buy weapons? Which could be a really interesting mechanic to put into a Battlefield game about saving up for bigger weapons. And
it looks like this kind of peripherally fits into the Battlefield oeuvre. You know, it's not really a military game, but it uses a lot of the mechanics and everything. But it's fresh enough to where it's not just a knockoff.
Yeah. I'm also really looking forward to the fact that Visceral is doing the single player. So we should probably have a decent single player campaign.
Yeah. This looks like a fun game.
I mean, it's enough of a breath of fresh air in the Battlefield franchise that I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's not just Battlefield 5 with more tanks in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, ladies and germs, was our first day of E3. I don't know, man. I think that Microsoft played it a little bit too safe personally, and I think that EA needed to have more shit if they wanted. I feel like a lot of these things where they showed us Mirror's Edge 2 and they showed us the BioWare stuff and they showed us Battlefront, like, where's my fucking Amy Hennig Star Wars? If you're gonna do that, then show me her talking for 5 minutes in an office about what that is. Show me some concept art. Or if you're not going to do that, why don't you spend your time playing more of these games? Play 20 minutes of Battlefield or whatnot.
Yeah, show us what we want to see.
Yeah, because at this point, like, they're starting to so eke back what they're showing that it's like, you're not giving me enough to even get excited anymore. So I don't know. Tomorrow, folks, we're going to have Aaron, Alexander, and I are going to talk about the Sony press conference and the Ubisoft press conference. And then, as I said before, on Thursday, John and I are going to talk about Nintendo and any conferences that are left. And then on Friday, or on Thursday, we're going to record this. It'll come out on Friday. Jason and I are going to take a look at all the rest of the trailers and stuff that we haven't already seen, and we're going to kind of do a wrap-up of the whole show. So far, an interesting start. I hope it bumps up a little bit more in the next couple days, but I'm kind of starting to get a little leery.
It's pretty lackluster, I think.
This might have not been the best year to go, even though, all things considered, I'd rather be in L.A.